Blessed Feast of Tabernacle, everyone, four corners of the world, north, south, east, and west. I'd like to welcome you all for the Feast of Tabernacles. I welcome you so that we enjoy present truth, feast on the word of the Lord, and make our way clearly open towards the kingdom. I want to welcome all in different countries without mentioning their names. Sit comfortably in the Feast of Tabernacle and enjoy the word of present truth. Our subject today is on the latest news for mother, or sometimes you say breaking news. When you see on TV there is a breaking news for mother. So we have a mother, has a breaking news, and this is what we are going to study today, which word coming from God to mother and to children. We want to study all the analogies that God has given us through the prophecies of Hosea. We are going to start with Hosea chapter 1, and we're going to finish that chapter, and we go to Hosea chapter 2 and finish it. If there was time, we are going to finish the whole book of Hosea. It is meant for the people who live in the last end of time, nearly after the people who are waiting for the coming of Christ. They should know. They are the ones who are supposed to know. Most preachers avoid that chapter. I don't know why. But it is for us who live in the end of the world to know exactly the whole history, where we have come from the Old Testament, New Testament, so that we know what is our message for the time through Hosea. Now we are going to start from chapter 1 and finish from chapter 1 verse 1 to 9. Then we will go to further verses as we study. Let us study.
Hosea chapter 1, verse 1.
Right.
The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said unto Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and the children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord.
Right. So there's one thing God is talking about here. It's a nasty word to hear, whoredom. You know, it's not a good word. But it says, go and take a wife of whoredoms. What do you hear about whoredoms? So we are saying latest news to mother, because the mother already is being identified here as a wife of whoredoms. Now to God, any deviation from his law is whoredom. That's why it is in heaven, when Satan was fighting God, when he was called Lucifer, it was all about God's laws. He thought God was a tyranny who has enforced people to stay worshiping him, keeping all the commandments, keeping all the statutes, and the whole war from the devil is on God's laws, the statutes, the commandments, the judgments, the testimony. This is what he has been fighting from the beginning to the end. Now that's why God calls it the wife going to go and collect a wife and marry a wife from the people who practice worshipping without his laws, his statutes. So it's clear for the mother that God knows the mother that does not want to keep the statutes. And this has been the war from the beginning of the world to the end. When you see the Israelites who were taken off from Israel to go to Babylon, it was because of the statutes. It was because of the commandment and the statutes. The Sabbaths were being trodden down. It was all because of the law. When you see the Dark Ages, when it came, it was just targeting at the laws and the times of the festivals. That's where the target of the devil is. Now God says, go then and take a wife from whoredoms. You understand there? Now let's hear more. Let's hear. So
and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord.
Right.
So he went and
now
took.
when he's talking about whoredoms, you know exactly it is about his laws. Any husband with a wife who does not keep the laws of the husband, to God, he says that wife. Any wife who does not keep the laws of the husband is a wife of whoredom. Because when we are married, we have to comply by keeping what our husbands want us to do. If we are against the laws of our husbands, then we are coming from whoredoms. This is exactly what God is talking about. He is the mother to be married. God, take unto thee, yeah, is instructing Hosea, God, take the wife of whoredoms. And now we have identified what whoredom is. Now let's hear. So, what if on the way the verse
3. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son.
When you're talking about Gomer, they're talking of somebody who does not keep God's laws, somebody who does not keep the laws of the husband. That's Gomer. That's the wife to Hosea. He took Gomer, right?
The daughter of Diblaim,
right?
Which conceived and bare him a son.
Right.
And the Lord said unto him, call his name Jezreel.
Right. For
yet a little while, and I'll avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu.
Right. You know exactly what happened to Jehu. You know the history of Jehu. God is saying, because call him his name Jezreel for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu. So you remember what happened to Jehu. Jehu is the one under Ahab. The Jezebel, the wife of Ahab, had the prophets of Baal. So when they were worshipping Baal instead of worshipping God. But after that, Jehu organized everybody who was left over from those who were worshipping Baal and put them in Jezreel the valley. And then he killed all the remnant of the prophets of Baal. But then the problem is that God, he promised Jehu that his children are going to be, blessed by God, on condition that he was angry and went to wipe all the inhabitants of those who were following Ahab. But Jehu also did not walk according to the statutes of God. So now he says, I will avenge Jehu. This is what he's talking about in Hosea. Now, call his name Jezreel for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu. What had he killed? He had killed all the Israelites who were following Ahab, who were worshipping Baal. But now God is saying he's also going to avenge Jehu. Now, let's hear now.
And will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel.
Right.
And it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel.
Right.
And she conceived again.
So the valley of Jezreel is where Jehu had taken all the remainder of the people who were after Ahab and took them and killed them in the valley of Jezreel. So when you hear about Jezreel, that valley is where the people who were worshipping Baal had been killed by Jehu. Now let's hear more.
Verse 6.
Verse 6, right.
And she conceived again and bare a daughter.
Right.
And God said unto him, call her name Lo-ruhamah.
Right. So we are seeing now the history of the church in the Old Testament. She conceived and had a daughter, and the daughter was called Lo-ruhamah. Lo in Hebrew is no. Right. So here, what does he say the meaning of Lo-ruhamah is?
For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel.
So if Lo is a no, and the Ruhamah is no mercy, is mercy. So Lo is no mercy, which is Lo is no. Ruhamah is mercy. So he says, I won't have mercy
upon the house of Israel.
Upon the house of Israel.
But
so by studying this, we want to see from the history, where is it that God did not have mercy? So the history of Israel is just filled with a time where God had mercy and God had no mercy. So when God had mercy, it was Ruhama. When he did not have mercy, it's called Lo Ruhama. So it was a Ruhama, Lo Ruhama, a Ruhama, Lo Ruhama. So it has been on and off. Of course, when you start the history, you find from the beginning, God's people were under the name Ruhama, meaning he had mercy with them. When he took them out of Israel, they were Ruhama. But when they stayed in Israel and had not kept the laws of God, that time they were driven to Babylon. What was that period? Lo Ruhama. But next we find when Christ comes, they did not accept Christ. What is that period called? Lo Ruhama. No mercy. God had no mercy. That's why he organized the temple to be destroyed and said, if anyone you see this destruction in the temple in Jerusalem, you have to flee. It was a time of Lo Ruhama, no mercy, right? And then later on in the Christian era, we find a time where now he had Ruhama. What was this time? When he established the Christian church. Do you understand? And then after that establishment of the Christian church, they went again to a period which was called Lo Ruhama. Which one? The Dark Ages. So we should know it was a Ruhama and a Lo Ruhama. Ruhama and Lo. So we are studying today. Let's hear more, right? And she conceived again.
And she conceived again, and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, call her name Lo Ruhama, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel,
right?
but I'll utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah,
right,
and I will save them by the Lord their God,
right,
and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, but by horses, nor by horsemen.
Right. We will study that period where it was no mercy in the Old Testament. Right.
Verse 8.
Verse 8.
Now, when she had weaned Lo Ruhama, she conceived and bare a son.
Right. Let's hear the son again.
Then said God, call his name Lo Ami.
Lo also means no. So what is the meaning of Ami then?
For ye are not my people,
right,
and
so
I will not be your God.
Lo means not, and Ami means not my people. So Lo Ami, you are not my people. There is a time also he had people called Ami. Ami, it was God's people. And then Lo Ami is the time where the people were not God's people. So you see, the very people of God can enjoy blessings as Ami. And later on, if they don't walk in the statutes, in his commandments, they go to a period which is called Lo Ami. So it was Ami, Lo Ami. Ami, Lo Ami. So we'll study those periods. Now let's hear.
Verse 10.
Verse 10, right.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
But then finally, the number of the children of Israel will be like sand of sea, as it was promised to Abraham. Now this is a very difficult but enjoyable prophecy, which we have to study in this Feast of Tabernacle and understand. Do you understand? Now let's hear more.
Which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them,
right,
ye are not my people,
right,
there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
So you see, there is a period where now, instead of being said, you are not Lo Ami, you are called, you are the people of God, which is Ami. Do you understand? Right, let's hear.
Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together,
right,
and appoint themselves one head,
right,
and they shall come up.
Finally, we are going to the point then when they will gather together. They now will be led by one leader. At last, read on, let's hear.
Then shall the children of Judah, 11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together,
right,
and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel.
Right. So we have seen chapter 1 has told us the history from Old Testament, coming to New Testament, coming to where we are, coming to future to us, where people, the house of Israel now will appoint one head. And one head will be leading the house of Israel when they are called the people of God. So we want to study these chapters where it was Ami, Lo Ami, or Lo Ruhama, Ruhama, Lo Ruhama. Where is this? Where do we find all this? Now let's go back to the tract 4, page 11, where it says in vision only. To start with from the foregoing scripture up to verse 90. Hosea 1 verse 1. The first chapter, the first paragraph.
Was it the word of the Lord?
Yeah, when he says from the foregoing, just at the end, where it says tract 4, page 11.
Okay. From the foregoing scriptures,
right?
It is seen that Hosea's wife and children were such in vision only.
So, from the ongoing scripture of chapter 1 of Hosea, what we have been studying is that this was just a vision only. Right? This was a vision only. Right? And what?
And were therefore entirely figurative.
So all that is in chapter 1 is figurative. So that's why we have to study these figures. Right? And
they were so named as to make a fitting analogy of his people.
Right?
Judah and Israel. And being of whoredoms, they fittingly prefigure the idolatrous state of his church.
Right. So why he's saying the initial thing is that these children and also their mother, they have been prefigured in whoredom, clearly demonstrating his children his church from the beginning in the Old Testament to the last. That's why the topic says latest news. So we want to see from the beginning to the last. Why is it the latest news? We want to concentrate also more in the last. What is the news to mother in the last, in the time of the end? Because this prefigurement, which is from this house of Hosea, Gomer, and the children, Ami, Lo Ami, Ruhama, Lo Ruhama, all this is a prefigure of the history of the church from the beginning to the end. Right? Let's do it. In Hosea chapter 2, verse 1. We have finished chapter 1. We haven't studied it, but we have finished chapter 1 and we have seen. But we want to also run chapter 2. Yeah?
Chapter 2, verse 1.
Verse 1.
Say ye unto your brethren,
right?
Ami, and to your sisters Ruhama,
right?
Plead with your mother,
right?
Plead, for she is not my wife.
Right. So latest news that we said is the topic is for us to, as children, we are children, we have a mother. And the information to us from God says, start pleading with your mother. Right? It says, plead with your mother. Why? Because initially we saw where the mother was taken from. The mother was taken from whoredom. What? Whoredom means from people who are not keeping the statutes, the commandments, the laws of God. So it is called whoredom. But then we are being instructed, plead with the mother. And say, let's come off from this whoredom. Plead with the mother. That's why there is a message in the last days, which God says he sent Elijah with the statutes and judgments to the mother, to plead with the mother. This is the time we are pleading with the mother. This is the time also, which is in figure to the time of Moses when he was pleading with the mother. Which mother? With Pharaoh. He was taking the children of Israel to go out so that they start keeping the statutes, the feasts. So Moses spent time pleading with the mother. Now we are also being sent with a message as the children. The children are called Ami and Ruhama. Plead with your mother. Your mother. Now let's hear. Say.
Plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife.
Right.
Neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts.
Right.
lest I strip her naked and set her as in the day that she was born,
Right.
and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. Verse 4.
Right.
And I will not have mercy upon her children,
Right.
for they be the children of whoredoms.
Right.
For their mother hath played the harlot. She that conceived them hath done shamefully.
This is the history which is with the mother. From the beginning to the end, the mother, God is pleading with the mother to say, stop whoredom. Stop this whoredom. Because God wants all his laws kept. Now here, let's go to the paragraph. Continuing with the prophecy.
Continuing with the prophecy, we hear the Lord command Jezreel,
It's commanding Jezreel.
say ye unto your brethren,
Right?
Army, and to your sisters Rohama, the same pair of children introduced in the first chapter of the vision are in the second chapter redenominated.
Right. So why they are renominated? In the first chapter they were called Lo Ruhama and Lo Ami. But here in this verse in Hosea 2 verse 1, let's hear what they are called.
Verse 1. Say ye unto your brethren, Army, and to your sisters Rohama.
Did you see the law is not there? So what has happened there? The children initially in chapter 1 were called Lo Ruhama. Lo meaning no mercy. But here in this instance, in chapter 2, they are called Ruhama. Say ye to the children, Army and Ruhama. Did you see the law is not there? So what has happened? The children first are the ones to start keeping the laws. Did you hear that? The children first started by keeping these laws. They are now called Army. The law is gone. The law which was causing them to be called Lo Army or not my people. Or the law was causing them to say Lo Ruhama or no mercy. But what is the children? The children are now having Ruhama and Army. The no is gone. The children are God's people now. The mercy is with the children. So the law is not there in chapter 2. But in chapter 1, the law is there. Did you see the change? Right. Now, because they are God's people, the children first became God's people. Of course, we saw it. Even in the slaughter of Ezekiel 9. The children will be spared. Why? Because it says start first with those in the altar, in front of the altar. So, who was spared? Those who are not in front of the altar. So that's why it says the movement, the last movement, will be a movement of laymen. These are the children who first found love, Ruhama, and also found the Army, God's people. They became God's people. The law is not with the children, but then they are taken by God to say, I will send you to your mother. Say unto your mother, say ye unto your brethren, Army, and to your sisters, Ruhama. What do they say?
Plead with your mother.
Plead with your mother.
Plead.
So that your mother also starts keeping God's statutes like what you are doing. Your mother starts keeping God's commandments and statutes and judgments as given to Moses. This is, in a nutshell, Elijah's message. So Elijah should be with the children. Elijah's message is the message which the layman will bring to the mother. What is Elijah's message? Of the statutes and judgments. That is the message that make the children lose the law. Instead, they become Ruhama. And they lose the law. Instead, they become Army. But God is instructing the children, then start pleading with your mother. Why? The mother remained not keeping the statutes and judgments and commandments. This is what is happening. Now let's hear more on the chapter. The same
pair of children introduced in the first chapter of the vision are in the second chapter redenominated.
Right.
The difference being that from both names is dropped the prefix law, which in Hebrew means no.
Right.
Accordingly, whereas Lo Ruhama means no mercy,
Right.
and Lo Ami means not my people,
Right.
Ruhama means mercy, and Ami means my people.
Right. So we have seen the children first have been first redenominated. How are they denominated? How are the children denominated? Did we see the children being redenominated? Let's go to 5T, Testimonies for the Church, page 80. How are the children redenominated? Let's hear there.
The days are fast approaching.
Yes. Let's see how these children will be redenominated. So we are talking about the church triumphant. How is the church triumphant going to be denominated? By the children who are no longer called Lo Ruhama. They are called Ruhama. And by the children who are no longer called Lo Ami. They are called Ami. So let's hear Ami and Ruhama without the law. Let's hear.
The days are fast approaching,
Right.
when there will be great perplexity and confusion. Satan, clothed with angel robes, will deceive, if possible, the very elect. There will be gods many and lords many. Every wind of doctrine will be blowing.
Right.
Those who have rendered supreme homage to science falsely so called
Right.
will not be the leaders then.
So is it a redenomination there in this prophecy of Hosea? When they are actually now redenominated, how is it going to be? Those who have been trained with the signs so falsely called, what is that? It's theology. Those who had theology are no longer the heads of the flock. Listen to that. Go to it again.
There will be gods many
Right.
and lords many.
Right.
Every wind of doctrine will be blowing. Those who have rendered supreme homage to science falsely so called will not be the leaders then.
Right. Who is this science falsely so-called? Who now have stopped being leaders? Those who had been theologians. They will not lead the flock. The 144,000 won't be led by theologians. This is what the Testimonies for the Church, volume 5, page 80 says. But why? Listen to that.
Those who have trusted to intellect,
They have that intellect. which
Genius.
has been- Genius.
talent,
Talent.
will not then stand at the head of rank and
They
file.
are not at the head of rank and file.
They did not keep pace with the
They
light.
did not go up to the 5 angel. They stopped up to the 3rd. So the light continued on the 4th and 5th. They did not keep pace with the light. Right?
Those who have proved themselves unfaithful will not then be entrusted with the flock.
What is this faith? Faithful in the laws of God, in the messages of God as they came. 5 angels, they stayed with 3 angels. Instead of 5 angels, they did not keep pace with the angel's message. And this is how the children were redenominated. Did you hear that? Listen, let's hear it.
In the last solemn work,
In this solemn work, which
Few
is at
great
the end,
men
there won't be any
will
of
be
these
engaged.
great men. Any of these great men won't be there.
they are self-sufficient,
Because they are self-sufficient.
independent of God,
Independent of God.
and He cannot use
They
them.
trust in certificates and degrees from theology, but God will never demand those certificates. He demands a thus saith the Lord. The Bible is so easy. Only go to the thus saith the Lord. You don't even need anything to teach you how to interpret the scriptures. The thus saith the Lord is clear for you. You just demand that. Don't demand any of these theologian certificates. Now listen to that.
The Lord
The Lord,
has faithful servants
He has faithful servants
who in the shaking, testing time
who don't even need these degrees.
will be
They-
disclosed to
They
you.
only need the Spirit of God. And God will disclose those who are not even learned to these scientific institutions, but who are learned from the Spirit of God. Thus saith the Lord. These are the ones that God is calling them Ruhama, and is calling them Ami, without a law. They are now God's people. They are now having mercy. This is the prophet of Hosea. Hosea says, call them now Ami, and call them now Ruhama. But in the first chapter, they were called Lo Ruhama, because they came from a wife, a mother of whoredoms, who was taken from whoredoms by our father. Hosea took the wife from whoredoms. And then when the children were born, they were of whoredom. But God says, now they are Ami, and the other one is Ruhamah. They are no longer of whoredoms. But now God is taking them in chapter 2, taking these two children and say, go now, start pleading with your mother. And say to your mother, you are committing whoredom. Now let's hear more. Let's hear. We don't want chapter testimonies for the church anymore. Let's go back to our chapter now. This change of status. So this is how the children will be redenominated by God when they are keeping the laws, the statutes, all under Elijah, who has been sent in the last days. Somebody is to be sent with the spirit and power of Elijah, who is going to connect the children with God in Malachi chapter 4 verse 4. And the hearts of God and the hearts of the children will be connected. Why? Because they are now Ruhamah and they are now Ami. They have lost the law. But they left the mother. The mother is still committing whoredom. And God is saying to them, go and plead with your mother. Because God wants to save the mother as well. But the mother has to listen. Now let's hear more.
This change of status implied in the change of names denotes a division of church history.
Right.
In one instance, the membership is called not my people,
right,
receiving no mercy. And in the other instance, the my people receiving mercy.
Right.
The Apostle Paul gave the key to this whole prophecy by revealing the interpretation of that part of it which met its fulfillment in his day.
Right.
Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but of the Gentiles, as he saith also in Osee, I will call them my people which were not my people.
Right.
And her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God.
Right. Who is that? In Romans chapter 9, verse 24. That's what you are reading, isn't it?
Yes.
Have you gone to verse 26?
Verse 26, yeah. So we see that, so we see that one chapter of Hosea's vision foretells God's rejecting those who rejected him.
Right.
Which we know he did after they rejected his son.
Right.
At that time was fulfilled the said pronouncement, ye are not my people, and I will not be your God.
They went through the history where they were once called, you are not my people. What do you think God said to them when they crucified Christ? Were they called Ruhamah?
No.
Or Ami? No. They were called Lo Ruhamah, Lo Ami. Actually, God said, you are no longer my people. That's why I had to extend the message to the Gentiles. Because they killed the Son of God. And what did God proclaim to them? They were now Lo Ruhamah and Lo Ami. Why? Because of the act of killing the Son of God. Now, let's hear more.
Yet, in the very next breath, as it were, the Jews are called the children of the living God.
Right.
This paradox is cleared in chapter 2, as it is in Romans 9.
Right.
Those who did not reject Christ, but who became Christians, are the ones called the children of the living God.
The next breath, when he called them Lo Ruhamah, did he call them Lo Ruhamah at the time when they killed Christ? But let's see on the day of Pentecost, when the Spirit came, 3,000 Jews were baptized on the day of Pentecost. What were they called? Ruhamah. The law had been lost. So you see the history of the Israelites. Sometimes they are called Lo Ruhamah. And next day, when they received the Pentecostal empowerment, 3,000 Jews were baptized. And every day they continued in Acts chapter 2, verse 46. They were continuing to come into the Christian faith one by one, and they filled in the early Christian church. And that early Christian church filled with the Jews who are now Christians. What were they called? Ruhamah. Did you hear? The law had been lost. What were they called? Lo Ami. Why? The law had gone. Now they remained Ami. And Ruhamah. There is no law. Why? Because they were now God's people. The other thing, they had mercy. They received the spirit of prophecy. the former rain when it came on the day of Pentecost. The very Jew which had been called Lo Ami, Lo Ruhama, but the next breath they were called Lo Ami. They were called Ami, and next they were called Ruhama. They were God's people. The very people who God had said they are no longer my people. Do you understand? Now let's read on. Let's read them from where you left.
Clearly then,
in
the simultaneous fulfillment of these contrasting decrees, were the death throes of the Jewish nation and the birth pangs of the Christian church.
So the death was from that big church which crucified Christ, right? It died. But where the birth, the death, that church died. But what came up?
The Christian church.
The Christian church came up. Then you see, what was it in front of Paul? In front of Paul, what was it? It was the previous church, which was calling itself the Church of God, was a Loruhama, and also was a Lo Ami. And the Christian church was a Ami, and the Christian church was Ruhama. So there were two different sections. These children who accepted the message from Christ were the children pleading with the mother church, which was still Lo Ruhama, Lo Ami, rejected Christ. They had rejected Christ's mercy. But here, these ones accepted Christ's mercy. They were now the children pleading with their mother.
Amen.
Did you hear that? Now we are still the children of Israel, spiritual ones. Then we say, what is the latest then news to our mother? What is this breaking news to ours then? Now let's hear. Let's read on.
Having now established that this scripture gives the termination of the one dispensation and the beginning of the other,
right?
We must next discover how back in the history of the Old Testament division and how far forward in the history of the New Testament division this prophetic allegory reaches.
So we cannot just start prophecy in the time when Christ came and died. Let's go back a bit. Let's go back a bit and see, where did this mother start changing these names? One, Loruhama. Next, Ruhama. Another, Loruhama. And they were all pleading with the mother in all these instances. And in our section, we want to cover how then we should plead with our own mother. Because it was, from the beginning, it was the mother being pleaded with. They were pleading with the mother to do what God wants. Pleading with the mother to do what... Now we saw here how in the early Christian church, we're now God's people, but still pleading with the Jewish church, which was their mother. Do you understand? Now let's hear far back. Let's come backwards a bit. Right, let's hear in Hosea chapter 2, verse 15.
Verse 15. And I'll give her her vineyards from thence, and she shall sing there, as in the days of her youth.
Right.
And as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt.
Now let's go back to the land of Egypt. Because we have been told by the verse that in her youth, this was the story. This is what God dealt with the mother and the children. In her youth, there was still a controversy between mother and child. And when they came out of Egypt as well, there was still a controversy. You see, the whole history from the beginning to the end is the children pleading with the mother, pleading with the mother. The mother is a problem from the day one to the last day. Now let's hear from the beginning there.
When analyzed, this verse shows that the first division began in the days of Abraham.
Right.
When the church was in her youth.
That's the youth that we have been told by verse 15. Right.
And continued on to her exodus from Egypt.
Right.
The days when she sang and terminated with the crucifixion of Christ.
Right.
The hour that doomed Judaism.
Right. So let's hear from that time when they walked out of Egypt. This time there was this mother until Christ was crucified. That was the end of this mother. Do you understand? Let's hear more. The ensuing verses.
The ensuing verses tell how far in the Christian division this personified prophecy reaches. And in that day...
Now, we are reading from Hosea 2. We are still on the second chapter. We are going now to verse 18 up to 21. Let's hear from that chapter.
And in that day...
In that day...
will I make a covenant with them, for them, with the beasts of the field,
right,
and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I'll break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely.
Right.
And I'll betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I'll betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment, and in loving kindness and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, saith the Lord, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth.
Right. But you see these verses, they are pointing to the last. But let's start from the beginning when they walked out of Egypt. Now let's hear these verses.
These verses describe the latter-day state of the once fallen wife.
Right.
The church.
The history of this wife from the beginning to the end. But these verses, verse 18 up to 21, are now talking of this wife which had been falling in the past history. The end of that wife, isn't it? Now let's hear more.
These verses describe the latter-day state of the once fallen wife, the church, as one of unadulterated purity and absolute safety.
Finally, this wife at the end, God has a wife who has no adulteration, who is pure. This is what we have seen in verse 18 up to 21, right?
But as she is at the present time, still in her Laodicean condition.
But at present, what is this wife like? At our time now, is in a Laodicean
condition,
state, which is in Revelation chapter 3, verse 14, is the Laodicean condition, which is it?
Wretched,
right?
And miserable,
right?
And poor,
right?
And blind,
right?
And naked,
right?
Still impure and still in danger. It is evident that as Hosea's vision extends over the entire length of the Jewish church, it also extends over the entire length of the Christian church from the crucifixion to her fast approaching liberation from bondage.
Right. So, from the crucifixion to the time Christ comes, that's where we see the history covering what this woman is like until the end. Now, let's hear the Old Testament. I skipped the other verse. Right.
This one family.
This one family, yeah.
This one family.
Right.
Dual symbolization of the Old and the New Testament churches.
So, what are we having? We have a symbolization in the Old Testament, of also a symbolization of the New Testament. So what we expect in the New Testament has already been covered in the Old. So we have to go to the Old to see how we will be in the end. Right? Read on.
So this one family, dual symbolization of the Old and the New Testament churches,
right,
shows them to be one church.
Right.
Accordingly, her character in both dispensations is dramatically personified.
Right.
First, during the Old Testament period,
right,
some years after the tribes crossed the river Jordan and settled in the land, in the promised land,
right,
their kingdom began to decline from its high spiritual estate. Finally,
so let's hear, when they walked out of Egypt, when they crossed the river Jordan and settled, what happened? Spiritually, they were powerful in the wilderness, but when they crossed and went into Canaan, they lost their spirituality. This is what happened. Now let's hear.
Finally, in the reign of Solomon,
right,
the Lord said unto Jeroboam,
right,
I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes unto thee, because that they have forsaken me.
Exactly. So they lost. This is from 1 Kings 11, verse 31 to 33. They lost their spirituality. That's why even in the time of Solomon, the kingdom, God inspired Jeroboam to tell that Solomon has sinned with all these wives. He has sinned. So I'll rent the kingdom of 12 tribes so that 2 tribes only, Judah and Benjamin, will remain as Judah and the tribe of Judah. And then the 10 tribes were given to Jeroboam. Right, let's hear more. The verdict.
This verdict was not executed until after the death of Solomon.
It only waited until Solomon died, and then Jeroboam took to 10 tribes. Yeah.
When the 10 tribes, upon revolting against Jeroboam,
right, because
called Jeroboam.
Like it was Jeroboam, I mean, Solomon had a son called Rehoboam was the son to Solomon. He took over the throne when his father Solomon died. But there was a revolt from Jeroboam, because Jeroboam had been told by God that these 10 tribes will belong to him. So he revolted to take the 10 tribes. Now let's hear. This is also in 1 Kings 12, verse 20. Yeah.
So this verdict, was not executed until after the death of Solomon.
Right.
When the 10 tribes, after revolting against Rehoboam, called Jeroboam and made him king over Israel.
Right.
All the house of Judah, with the tribes of Benjamin, remained to Rehoboam, son of Solomon.
Yeah.
So it was that the kingdom was divided, the 10 tribes and the kingdom of Israel, taking the northern portion of the promised land, and the 2 tribes, the kingdom of Judah, retaining the southern portion.
But still in Hosea chapter 1, verse 5, there was this prediction, I will
break the bow of Israel,
right,
in the valley of Jezreel.
Right. So what is it that he meant by I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel? This is what happened in Jezreel. I told you how Jehu killed the prophets of Baal there. Those people were still following up, were killed there. So this, I will break the bow of Israel, which are the princesses of the 10 tribes, right? Of the 10 tribe kingdom in the valley of Jezreel. So 10 tribes now were taken, and God said, I'll break it, right? Let's hear more.
So this decree was not fulfilled until later, when Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab in the valley of Jezreel.
This is how it was fulfilled. It's Jehu then who later took these princesses of the 10 tribes who were now worshipping Baal and killed them in the valley of Jezreel. That's why we hear these names Jezreel. Why? Because we are not studying, so these names are also new to us. But we need to know all these nitty-gritties before we meet Christ. Right? Let's hear. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel.
Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel, but took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord.
So if you want to know what happened to Jehu when he took all and killed all this, you go also to 2 Kings 10 verse 11. You find all this history. Right? Let's hear. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. So you see, the worship of Baal is exactly similar. That's where the pagan worship comes from. So it started there. And Jehu killed all the prophets of Baal, all those who were still worshiping Baal. He killed them in the valley of Jezreel. Right? Let's hear more.
Took no heed, but took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord of God
but
of
also
Israel.
He just did that. But he did not also walk in the statutes, though he did kill those who were worshiping Baal. Now let's hear more.
In those days, the Lord began to cut Israel short. And Hazael smote them in all the coast of Israel, until the Lord removed Israel out of his side,
Right?
as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away to Assyria,
Right?
and in the cities of the Medes.
Right.
Herewith came to pass the forewarning, I will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel forever.
Right. To cut the story short, then they continued not worshipping according to God's design, like we are doing. That's what we are doing. We are inheriting from there. Then God had to say, let's go to in your estate, 2 Chronicles chapter 36 verse 15. What did God do?
6.
When they were not worshipping. Chapter 36 verse 15.
36, sorry.
15 up to 20.
2 Chronicles 36, right?
Yeah.
Verse 15.
15 to 20.
Verse 15.
So what did God do to them then? Because they refused to live these statutes. To worship God according to the statutes and commandments. But even the Jehu who killed those who were now worshipping Baal continued also not to worship according. Now what happened to God? Yeah.
2 Chronicles 36 verse 15.
Verse 15.
And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes,
So
and
God started sending the Elijah then, the Elijah of then, the prophets of that time, to the mother. Now he's having messages sent to the mother, the mothers who were leading them, right? He said what? Repeat.
And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers,
right?
Rising up betimes,
right?
And sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place.
Right?
But they mocked the messengers of God.
But what did they do? Now, we have this time when God sends Elijah. It's because people are refusing to keep the statutes and judgments. But what did they do in that time? Then you should compare what they did in that time when they were sent messengers to stop them, idolizing pagan worship or worship of Baal. What did they do when God sent messengers to them? Let's hear them. Compare with what is happening here, right?
But they mocked the messengers of God.
They mocked the messengers.
Despised his words.
Despised the word.
Misused his prophets.
Misused the prophets.
Until the wrath of God arose against his people till there was no remedy.
Right. So what did he do?
Therefore,
right.
He brought upon them the king of the Chaldees,
right.
who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary,
right.
and had no compassion upon the young man or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age.
Where have you heard such?
Ezekiel
9. Ezekiel 9. He sent the then Ezekiel 9 to them. What did the king of the Chaldeans, it's Nebuchadnezzar, what did he do? Slew
their young men.
Repeat that sentence.
Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees,
right.
who slew their young men
right.
with the sword
right.
in the house of their sanctuary.
Right, let's go to Ezekiel 9. In our time, what is happening? When they refuse to keep the statutes, the feasts, and the commandments, what is God promising in Ezekiel 9 verse 4? Let's hear.
Verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city,
right.
through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men,
right.
that sigh and that cry, for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
Right.
And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite.
Smite.
Let not your eyes spare,
right.
neither have ye pity.
Right.
Slay utterly, old and young,
old and young,
both maids and little children, and women,
right.
But come not near upon any man upon whom is the mark.
Right. Go back to. Did you see that? This is exactly what he did in the Old Testament, and this is what he has promised in the New Testament. That when also they do exactly what these Old Testament mothers were doing, the mother of our time. This is what is being promised also to her. Latest and breaking news for mother. What happened in the past is coming in the future. Let's go to the past. Let's hear 2 Chronicles 36. Where you
Verse 17.
Verse 17.
Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees,
right.
who slew their young men with the sword
right.
in the house of their sanctuary,
right.
and had no compassion upon a young man or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand.
Right.
And all the vessels of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord,
right.
and the treasures of the king and of his princes, all these he brought to Babylon.
Right.
And they burnt the house of God, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the godly vessels thereof.
Did that happen in the temple of God? In the temple in Jerusalem, it happened. Slew old men, young, both maids, and here in our time is the antitype of that slaughter, which is future to us. Let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 30, chapter 9. Ezekiel 9. Right. So it says, slay utterly. Verse 5.
Verse 6.
Verse 6.
Slay utterly, old and young,
right.
both maids and little children,
right.
and women, but come not near upon any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary.
Right.
Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house.
Right.
And he said unto them, Defile the house,
right.
and fill the coast with the slain, going forth. And they went forth and slew in the city.
Right. So why was all this? Is because the mother, they were pleading with the mother in the past, and we are also pleading with the mother in future. And God has promised that Ezekiel 9 is the same sealing which is in Revelation 7, which is currently happening in our time. Yes, it's the same. Testimonies to ministers, page 445 will tell you that this is the same seal which is in Revelation 7, and also the sealing which is done by the men in writer's ink in Ezekiel 9. And what is the outcome of that sealing? Those who don't receive the seal and join mother, the mother who does not want to keep God's laws. God says, utterly start with the mother. Start with those in front of the altar. Start with the mother. God is coming. Let's hear. Let's hear what is going to happen. Go down at the way downstairs where it says current situation. Just scroll on the page. In spite though, we are still on track for. In spite though of the Lord's repeated grace mercy on current situation.
Is it the same? Sorry.
It's a bold. Just scroll down. Scroll down.
Okay.
Current situation.
What
Right?
page? Sorry.
Are you lost?
I think
Just where you read the verse of 2 Chronicles. So go to the paragraph which is following the current situation.
Okay.
Where you read the verse.
2 Chronicles, you say?
Where it says slaughter tide, and then you go down. Not on the verse instead. In the paragraph.
On the
On your
paragraph.
inbox.
Okay.
Right.
Current situation.
Right. In spite though.
In spite, though, of the Lord's repeated great mercy and wonderful deliverances in her behalf, Judah's continual sins finally led her utterly to forsake him by denying his only begotten son.
Right.
And they cried out all at once, saying, Away with this
In
man.
Luke 23 verse 18. That's what they did when they denied Christ. Away.
Away with this man.
Right.
And release unto us Barabbas.
This is what they did when Christ was hanging. They said, they judged and said, we want to release Barabbas, but crucify Christ, right?
Thus did Judas backsliding at last bring upon her the dreadful anathema. Ye are not my people,
Right.
and I will not be your God.
This is what they proved to be, not God's people, right?
So far, in this allegory,
Right,
we see the history of the church up to the crucifixion of Christ.
right,
Now, it is necessary to ascertain whether it contains the history of the New Testament period. While in chapter 1 of the vision, Hosea describes the church's idolatrous state in the Jewish dispensation. In chapter 2, he correspondingly describes the church's idolatrous state in the Christian dispensation.
right. Let's hear from Hosea 2 verse 1 to 5.
Say ye unto your brethren,
Right,
Ami, and to your sisters Ruhama, plead with your mother.
right,
Plead, for she is not my wife.
right,
Neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her wardrobes out of my hair sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts,
right,
lest I strip her naked, and set her as in the day when she was born,
right,
and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms. For their mother hath played the harlot. She that conceived them hath done shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers, that give me bread, and my water, and wool and my flax, which mine oil and my drink.
This is the main cause of the whoredom. What does the mother say? I will go after my... Let's read. What verse is that? Hosea chapter 2 verse. I will not have mercy. Why? The reason why God does not want mercy is what? In our current situation.
I will go after my lovers.
He says in verse
5.
I will go after my lover.
That give me my bread,
Right?
and my water, and my wool, my flax, my oil, and my drink.
We want to understand that phrase. This is the latest news. God says, my wife says, I'll go after my lover who give me bread. But we want to see, how does the lover give bread to mother? That she forsakes God's laws, the statutes, the commandments, the judgments, the testimonies, because of the lover. We want to understand this is where our main message to the mother is. Because God charges in the verse. He says the mother has committed whoredom because she says, I will go after my lover. That's what we want to study, to see what is it that the lover gives bread, isn't it? And gives water, and gives what? Wool, and gives what? Flax, oil, and drink. These are the things that mother is receiving. Did you hear? Did you hear them? Oh, repeat verse 5.
Verse 5.
We want to study this. What is it that the mother has forsaken God's laws about from the Bible? Right.
For she said,
right,
I will go after all my lovers,
right,
that give me my bread,
right,
my water,
2,
my wool,
3,
my flax,
5,
mine oil,
6,
and my drink.
Right. Did you hear? The mother is so satisfied with all these material things that God will not have the mother, worshiping him properly because of these. And God is saying, latest news to mother. Don't go after your lovers. Leave your lovers. But let's hear, how is it in the Christian era?
In the Christian era.
In tract 4, page 20, that's where we are.
In the Christian era, the church started out in an even more advantageous spiritual condition.
Is it not how we started
in the
early Christian church? That church was spiritual. Miracles were wrought. People are speaking in tongues on the day of Pentecost. The early Christian church, keeping all the feasts. We saw them, all the festivals, before it was changed by paganism introduced into the church. But the church was highly spiritual. Now let's hear. It started, the Christian church started even advantageous spiritual condition than what it was before, right?
Besides, she could have profited by the examples of the fallen Jews.
She could have also profited that there was a church which was called Lo Ami, Lo Ruhama, which God had forsaken because they killed his son. She could have learned from that, right?
But, as the verses just quoted reveal, she utterly failed to do so. Instead, as with the passing of Joshua,
right,
the Jews began to depart from their God. So with the passing of the apostles, the Christians drifted likewise.
Right. Is it? Have we drifted up to this point? Now let's hear.
In lowering the Christian standard and exalting the pagan,
right,
the church played the harlot with the heathen.
Right. This is what happened. We lowered the standard when the Dark Ages came and paganism was introduced into the church. What happened to the church? They lowered the standard by adopting these pagan feasts. Do we have them? Do you have the pagan feasts? Yes, we have. Which are they? All these days that we are day busy about keeping even a diary of the dates, not even going wrong with the dates. While God's dates are shunned, it was lowering the standard of the mother has lowered her standard by these pagan dates. Right? Let's hear.
In lowering the Christian standard and exalting the pagan, the church played the harlot with the heathen.
That's the harlot that we played in front of God. Latest news to mother. She says, I'll go after my lover. What caused her to go after the lover? Because the lover will give permission for the mother to get all these material blessings. Now let's hear.
In this way, conceiving and bringing forth her so-called converts,
right,
she hath done shamefully, said the Lord. For she said, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread, my water, my wool, my flax, my oil, and my drink. These sentiments she reflected by her attitude that her every candidate for membership, even those not fully converted to Christ, should nevertheless be baptized into the regular fellowship.
Listen, how we go and baptize a lot of people, irregardless of causing those people that we are baptizing to keep God's laws and festivals. We don't care about that. We only want the numbers to be full. Even if they don't keep God's laws, we don't care. Right?
Meanwhile, their financial support would further the work of God.
If we stop, we tell these people no. Because worshiping God according to the design is a narrow road. It's got less people. Why? It involves a lot of commitment. You have to shun this, shun that, all these material blessings, what they want. If you have to keep the statutes, today where are we? The Feast of Tabernacles, isn't it? But is the world keeping the Feast of Tabernacles today? No. Why? Because they have got to go and look for the material blessings. They have got to go and look for money. They've got to go and look for bread, for all these material blessings that we saw. The mother saying, I will go after my lovers who give me bread. Who rather, brethren, who rather be working than keeping the Feast of Tabernacle like now. This is what happened. That's why they have different times of Feast of Tabernacle, wherever, coinciding with the holidays and coinciding where where there is convenience. Why? Because the main aim, they want to go after their lover, who give them bread. Did you hear? Where are they? They are working today. Why? It's a lover to give me bread. And why? When they convert a lot of people, they don't care whether they come to keep the feast, because if they keep the feast, they will stop working and the bread will stop coming. They want them all to go to work. Don't keep the statutes, don't keep the festivals, go and work. Going after our lovers, what we want are the numbers. Did you hear that? Now let's hear.
Reasoning like this is of a piece. Yeah?
Yeah.
Reasoning like this is of a piece with that of the little girl who joyously exclaimed to her mother, Look, I got a good bargain from the peddler.
Right.
For this bagful of cherries, I was supposed to have given him a pound of wool, but instead of giving all wool, I hid your gold bracelet in it. To give church membership to those who have not brought forth fruit meat for repentance is an even more costly stunt than to barter for cherries, as though they were worth their weight of gold.
Look at the influx of converts. Would you actually say these are genuine converts who come, who have no commandments, who have no festivals, who have no statutes, who have no judgments? Why make so much numbers? Because the aim is to get lovers to give me bread and wool and drink and everything, material blessings, nothing to do with the converts coming to keep the festivals of God. There is no such numbers when compared to God. When compared to God, it's always a small company that will determine in their life that they want to serve God according to the letter He has written in the Bible. But the influx of converts, the main aim has nothing to do with worshiping God. The main aim has to do with going after the lover to give me bread, to give us more tithe, to give us, as long as you pay tithe, you are fine. But not as long as you keep God's laws and keep God's statutes and festivals. That is not material to the mother. Latest news on mother. To mother, there is a breaking news from God. Why God says this mother is wrong. Why? Because she says she will go after her lovers who give her bread. She has an aim of bread instead of an aim that God should be worshipped. That's why the mother is giving wrong dates, because the aim is not for God to be worshipped. The aim is, I will go after my lover who give me bread. If you pay lump sums of tithe, whether you don't keep these festivals, you have membership kept by this mother, because the mother wants the bread. The mother doesn't want genuine children who will worship God according to the letter. Where are the mothers today on the Feast of Tabernacle? Where is the mother? Latest news, breaking news for the mother. The mother should make sure, the mother should stop whoredom and be upright with the statutes and judgments, and also cause the children to worship God according to the precepts that God has put in. Otherwise, God is promising a lot. Listen to what He is promising. Let's hear more.
Besides,
Besides,
this foolish act of giving away shares in the church's estate one cannot begin to count the cost of the demoralizing influence that such subversive stockholders exert upon the true people of God.
Right?
By such folly, the early church unwittingly furthered the design of the wicked seed sower and also brought upon herself the dark ages of religion.
Right?
Yet even in spite of this frightful consequence, which should have taught her unforgettably the lesson to consecrate her zeal to the building up of a spiritual born membership only, she still continues heedlessly in her zeal for large congregations.
What is the zeal of the mother?
Large
the mother has a zeal of large, filling the whole world, not with people who are keeping festivals or who are keeping commandments and statutes like it is, but the main aim of filling large congregations is, I will go after my lover who gave me bread, so that the material blessings are there. But what about the worship of the God of the universe? The mother, latest news on mother, I'll go after my lover who gave me bread. This is your aim. But God is saying, be careful, be careful. He will never have mercy anymore. His mercy is quite weighed. Until his mercy is, the cup is full, then the mother will have it. But let's hear more. Right? Zeal for congregation, a passion.
A passion for increase of members,
right?
Without a commensurate burden for their sanctification.
I had somebody telling me that if you don't baptize so many people, you are not going to be paid. You know what? The mother has a zeal, a passion for increase in membership. What membership for? If the mother herself is not keeping the statutes, is not even there. Today is the first day. It's a Sabbath in heaven. All heaven is keeping the Feast of Tabernacle. But today, where is the mother? But why are you filling the whole world with a congregation of number of children who are not worshiping God? Why? I will go after my lover who gave me bread. This is what God has seen. This is the latest news for mother. Mother, be careful. God has seen the zeal in increasing your large congregation. It is nothing to do with God's festival. It's nothing to do with God's appointed times. This is what God is complaining about. Now let's hear more.
A passion for increase of members without a commensurate burden for their sanctification, their being born again,
right,
is engendered by the Spirit of Christ, but rather by the carnal heart, which says, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread,
right,
my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my drink. Selfishness,
right,
ambition, greed, these are Satan's right hand helpers.
This is what Satan wants. Satan is what inspires people is greed, selfishness, things that come to finish them. You know what? That's why when Christ walked on this earth, he only had a few people following him. And to him, these were massively great people. Why? Because they were there to do with worshiping God. It doesn't matter whether they were just 12. He was satisfied as long as they were the ones worshiping God. He was happy with that. The church, which was contending with the priests and everything, was large congregation. We had nothing to do with God. But Christ was happy with just a few who were around him. We had something to do with God. But here it says, the latest news for mother. What's your passion for filling all this congregation if you yourself are not keeping God's church? That's why God is sending, in Malachi chapter 4, verse 4 to 5, sends Elijah with the statute and judgment. One mother is there, but God will pick. God has picked one person to make sure the whole world attends to his business of the appointed times. Whether mother continues looking for lovers, giving him bread and everything, she might continue to her doomsday. But God has Elijah in the last days who will give the message for the time for people to obey and do exactly what God has prescribed in the Bible. Because the history continues to repeat itself like that. Ruhama, lo Ruhama, Ruhama, lo Ruhama, Ruhama, lo Ruhama. But the children always have mercy. The laymen are going to finish the work. But let's hear more. Had the early Christian.
And the early Christian church continued in her first love for the salvation of souls. Sorry.
Right?
And the early Christian church continued in her first love for the salvation of souls and the advancement of the kingdom of Christ, rather than for enlarging her membership. The enemies, operatives, the tares, could never have infiltrated into her ranks.
The early Christian church started as a high spiritual body. If they just concentrated on the laws of God, on making sure they had to divert their eyes from the laws of God. Instead, they wanted the numbers. This is why they were infiltrated by the likes of Constantine, because they had a zeal of large numbers. That's what it is right now. The zeal and passion of high numbers. They don't even care whoever comes with a different song from different places, which are not even inspired, different messages and different slogans and everywhere, which you are finding, which are not in the Bible, different. And some people are coming with some sort of things like they are coming as soldiers, marching, children are trained to march as soldiers and put on uniforms and caps and salutes and whatever, which is not in the Bible. All this is infiltrating the church. Why? Because the mother says, I'll go after my lover, who will only come and agree to pay the tithe. That's it. They'll give me bread. They'll give me everything. As long as they're paying their tithe, they don't care whether that tithe payer is not keeping the feast or what. That has nothing to do with the mother. The mother only wants the bread. The bread and everything, the material blessings. But where is the law of God today? Where are they? Where is the mother today? Where is the mother? It's a Sabbath today in heaven. Where are you today? Now let's hear more.
At the yeah. Okay. But her zeal for purity waned as she gave herself to the raising of goals. A selfish gain. Yeah, said the prophet. They are greedy dogs, which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, everyone for his gain, from his quarter.
Right. So God has clearly said them in Isaiah chapter 56. And it's all, confirming what Hosea is saying, that they're going after their lovers who give them bread. Now he says in Isaiah 56, they are greedy dogs, who each one is looking at his own quarter. And what? Listen.
How fearful the lesson. Never is the prosperity of the church to be sought in silver and gold.
No.
And
silver
never.
and gold has nothing to do with my salvation. My salvation has to do with me keeping the statutes and the judgments. Where is mother? Where are you? Latest news on mother. Where are you? Because this is the time the mother should be busy. If the mother is professing that she is the wife of God, this is where we should be seeing all these virtual camp meetings directed on the date today, the 21st of September. It is the first day of the Feast of Tabernacle. Where are you, mother? Where are you? I'll go after my lover who keep me bread, who give me bread. Yeah, that's where it is. The tithes and everything, that's where the eye is. The eye is not on the festivals. The eye is not on the commandments and the statutes and judgments and everything. The eye is not there. If it is there, where are you today? I'll go after my lover who give me bread. Now let's hear more.
Never is the prosperity of the church to be sought in silver and gold.
Right.
And never can she stand in the wisdom and power of men. Though money has its place in her economy, it is not her most urgent need.
No. It is not her most urgent need. The urgent need which the mother should have is what? Listen.
Upon fidelity to the message with which she has been entrusted depends her only real success.
The only real success is upon the message of Elijah.
Amen.
This time is where we have to concentrate on the sealing message. This is where it is. The agents is there, but not on money and material. This is where the eye of the mother is. But the eye of the mother should be focused on the sealing message, which should all the children of the mother, from the mother, should be sealed. This is the time the mother should be concentrating on the festivals, which we are now keeping. Because God has given this message from the beginning of the world to the end. We are going to study this and find out that the main cause of God, which He has been rallying to behind every children of God, it is for us to keep the statutes, the judgments, the testimonies, the feasts. All that is what God wants, so that when we are incorporated into the population of heaven, we don't make discords. Where is Mother today? The greatest. We could have gone on and on, brethren. We could have gone on and on to find out why the Mother is not conforming to the will of God. But because of time, we're going to attack some of the things when we are throughout this Feast of Tabernacle. We'll learn willy-nilly. We'll learn not in a speed. We'll learn comfortable in our homes, enjoying the message of Elijah. Where is it? The greatest news to Mother. Stop going after your lovers that give you bread. Make sure now you focus your eye on the sealing process and keep God's laws. Keep the statutes. As God has raised Elijah in your day, as He did raise Elijah in the days of Ahab, before Jehu killed all the prophets, all the people who were keeping paganism. But God is still sparing some time for the mother. The mother should come and conform to the laws of God. May God bless this Feast of Tabernacle. Blessed feast.